A1. Yeah, truly. Cooler and I'm flying too. Jam. Cooler and I'm flying too.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the show that's cool and fly too. A1 Forever Sports. It's Chris Tip Moore here. Be generational because it's always time to be, and don't you settle for less because you can always have more with a vision. And with that in mind, I have a special guest joining me today. It's been a minute and it's been a while, but he's back now, and I would like to introduce you to him. Looks like he is in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome back to A1 Forever Sports, sneaker reporter for Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, author of Kobe Bryant's Sneaker History, 1996 to 2020. And you also can catch him talking some Hawks on a Hawks Talk podcast. I'm talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Pat Benson Jr.
Hey, Chris. No, man, you're too kind. I appreciate the introduction.
Hey, man, no problem, man. Happy to have you back on. It's been quite some time.
Yeah, it has been. But as always, it's going to be fun. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to get caught up on.
Indeed, man. So, well, other than that, how's the family? How's the professional life treating you?
Everything's good, man. I can't complain.
Indeed, man. So, man, let's talk about these state of the Hawks, man. We already know Trae Young, man. That's one of the biggest blows that we really can hit at the wrong time. And he had such a great All-Star weekend, and he definitely should have got some more playing time. But that's neither here or there. But let's talk about this injury, man. This finger, man, on his left hand, man. It's just can you tell us more about it? I feel like it's going to affect him in the long run.
Well, I think you hit the main point on that is it's his left hand. Thankfully, it's not his shooting hand. If it were that, I would be worried. I'm not a doctor, but I've always heard hand and foot injuries can be very serious. They can really nag basketball players for a long time. Luckily, it's not his shooting hand, though. But like you said, wrong time. And also, he's just been so durable. The greatest ability is availability. And that's been something fans can always rely on with Trae. And this is going to be the longest stretch of his career by far that he's had to deal with an injury. So just all around bummer. The mood is very, very down right now amongst Hawks fans.
Right, as it should be. Like you said, the durable guy, man, even though he's small, he really didn't miss many games. Before the injury, he only had missed 5 games, and that's kind of like around the norm. He doesn't miss many, and he's a leader of the franchise, whether he's the vocal voice of the locker room or not. He's still the leader. We're talking about 27 and pretty much 11 assists that you're taking away from this Atlanta franchise that's already on the rise and on the come up, being 25 and 32. And we have a nice little stretch coming up where we have some winnable games, yes, but we still know that this is the NBA and nothing is for certain. Now, I will say this. I think that the defense should pick up a little bit because teams can't hunt for Trae on the defensive end. I will say that, and I did notice that in the third quarter, some things did change up in a good way for the Atlanta Hawks against the Orlando Magic. Now, people might say that the Magic are trash or whatever. I don't see that. I just see that the Magic are up and coming, and they're still trying to figure some things out. But they're not a bad team. They were coming off of a back-to-back, but it was a great win. You enjoyed what you've seen from the Atlanta Hawks that particular night, something that they can build off of, and that's what I was encouraged to see. Of course, Clint Capella out there, and we still missing Onyeka Okongwu. But my thing is, what's the percentage that Trae may miss the remainder of the season with this injury, as he will be reevaluated? And that's the word that scares me, Pat, that reevaluation word.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very high percentage. We don't see Trae play again this year. Right now, as of the time we're recording this, the Hawks are 10th in the East. Just 3 games ahead of the Nets for the final play-in spot. And it really depends on how this team can they tread water for a month without Trae. If they fall below the play-in line, then the season's shot. Don't bring him back at all. If they somehow squeak into the play-in, then like you said, you do that reevaluation, and take a look at the big picture. Is it worth rushing him back, or do we give him a full off season? Let him go into the off season, rehabilitate, do all that good stuff. So right now, if I were a betting man, I'd say we've seen the last of Trae Young for this season. I just couldn't imagine why they would rush him back for either no play in or maybe a couple games in the postseason. So right now, I'm pretty pessimistic about us seeing Trae again.
Yeah, man. That's that. I ain't gonna lie, man. You hit me with a clothesline right there, Pat. But I feel that though. I do, and I understand. That's another reason why I asked you that question, because I kind of feel like it's a possibility we may have seen the last of Trey for most of those reasons that you said. Yeah, we may be a play-in team, but my thing is, do you want to bring pretty much the head of your franchise back with the possibility of only being the 10th seed going into the playoffs or play
Yeah,
in, should you say?
yeah.
We wouldn't even have a home game, you know?
Yeah,
So
they'd have
that's
to win
another
two straight road games, and then
right.
you get the grand prize of playing top, Boston Celtics or somebody like that. Is who it's looking at like right now by the standings. So I just the cost benefit analysis right now just doesn't point to any rush in bringing him back.
I definitely understand that, man. This is going to be a very important stretch. And I want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Larry from the Dixon Way, because he seconds this opinion that I heard him say. And this is going to be an important stretch in the career of Trae Young, because we want to see exactly what pieces can elevate their games and potentially be on this roster for next year, because I really want to know. And I have another question for you, as in who on this team, including the coaching staff, I'll throw them in too, on this team needs to step up the most with Trey out the lineup.
Yeah, I'm sure this isn't a hot take, but it's got to be DeJounte Murray. We heard his name even pop up in trade rumors earlier this, throughout January, earlier this month. Luckily, they hung on to him. I guess that the price wasn't right at that time, so this is his chance to prove what he's capable of. True number two, this is his chance to be the number one of the team for a month, and at the very least increase his standing in the league and increase like what his asking price is. I think it's big for the Hawks, big for DeJounte if he can really step up and fill the void. Also, it seems like the 2 point guard system has always been a little bit clunky, not the perfect fit. So I think DeJounte could really stand up. I'm sure you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, I do feel kind of similar, I will say, because I mean, continuity is going to be very important down the stretch with this team. And I know that's going to kind of start with the coaching staff. So for me, one person that I have to look at is Coach Quinn himself. I mean, you
Mhm.
took the job knowing that you had issues at personnel. We've had issues at personnel with the Atlanta Hawks for multiple seasons. This isn't anything new. So he signed a 5-year deal, so he will be here. But that 5-year deal also told me that everyone knows it's going to take time. It's going to take a process. And but the thing about it, we've been through so many processes. We're tired of processing. We want to make some moves, and we also have this 25.3 mil trade exception that we need to be using, and we need to be aggressive, right? But
Yeah.
which I'm gonna touch back on that. But also let me finish this point. It's going to be on the coaching staff and Coach Quinn to be able to continue the continuity between the guys and the chemistry, being able to rotate the lineups, not go away from the hot hand. It's a lot of things going to go into his decision making as a coach. But if we're just talking about just players, I got to look at DeAndre Hunter. As he's for this season, I need those numbers to go up a little bit, because it's little things about DeAndre Hunter being on the floor that helps other guys like Bogey and Sadiq Bey, and they suffered when efficiency and percentages were going. So with that being said, it's little things that DeAndre Hunter does, but I would like to see him with the ball in his hands a little bit more. As the other night, if I'm not mistaken, he was like 6 of 10, I believe, or 6 of 8. Either way it go, but I'm talking about he was efficient, have a shot. So I looking at DeAndre Hunter, but of course, definitely looking at Quinn Snyder as far as this, who needs to step up.
Well, just want to say, I know you're a long time Hawks fan. You've done a lot of suffering, and man, if you're hoping for DeAndre Hunter to step up, then man, you're just going to continue the cycle of
Right.
pain and the cycle of trauma. DeAndre Hunter, extremely talented, and I too would love to see him step up, but his biggest consistency is that he's inconsistent. And I just, if we're hoping for DeAndre Hunter to step up, then it's going to be a tough go for us. But I totally agree with you that it's a good time for Quinn to show us what he's got and, coach him up and, make the most out of a depleted roster. And because right now, records speak for themselves. He's been on the job for a little over a year now and nothing to show for it, below 500. So
Right.
I agree with you definitely on the second part.
Yeah, man. Well, DeAndre Hunter, man. My expectations of him definitely. But I'm just thinking about the little things that he does. He's still going to be one of your best wingers. I hate to love it, and he's still going to be that hate to love it. But it's little things like I said, and then his point totals. I need his to go up. I need everybody. This is going to collective effort. This is not on one person. I just select him because I need him to stay healthy. So we can't afford any more injuries. Already going into this game with the Utah Jazz tonight, as we're recording this, they've lost 6 of their last 9. Yes, but you're still missing 27 and 11 with another guy who's giving you effort and who's a walking double can potential could be a walking double. And so the second game without Trey, third game without Onyeka. And guys, we have to make this a collective effort. With Sadiq's points half the total, he's averaging 21. I need him to average about 25, 26. And yes, going back to your point, he's going to have to be the guy. And I believe he can be, though. I definitely believe he can be.
Yeah, like you said, the Jazz right now they're in a slump, they're in a cold streak, but you can't take any team for granted in the NBA. Doesn't matter how bad they are. It could be the Pistons, and they could still sneak up on you. And also, hey, we get to see our man John Collins tonight.
Yeah, JC is gonna be back, man. JC, his usage has gone up a little bit. I think about 3%, 3 points, something like that. I think it was 17. I think he's around about 20, like 20 on the usage now. So yeah, it's gonna be nice to see John Collins tonight. I would have preferred for Trey to been able to play because it just would have made it all worth the while. But it's still gonna be nice to see JC, and we'll just see what JC has to bring.
What do you think the reaction will be like? Because he's going to get a tribute video.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good night for him. I think he's going to get a standing ovation because at the end of the day, it still wasn't really his fault for how everything went down. I still think that he has love in Atlanta. I still think there's plenty of people, plenty of fans that miss him. And I miss JC too. I wasn't a guy who was happy to see him roll. Not at all.
No, but I totally agree. I think that like outspoken minority on Twitter, a minority group of the fans will have maybe been very negative about JC, but overall, like if you polled the greater area of Atlanta, like he's got a high approval rating. Like fans, I think he will get a very positive reaction, which he deserves. And he was a consummate professional throughout all the trade rumors year after year. It'd be silly to hate on John Collins. He did everything he could, and he handled it as well as anybody could.
Indeed. He wasn't a detriment to the locker room or the organization, the franchise, anything. He just didn't produce as well on the court for some people, but in my eyes and probably yours as well, he just didn't factor in as being one of the main options of the team. We talked about it many times in previous conversations, how he wasn't even the third or the fourth option on the team. So you can't just, you can't have him just going out there just getting lost. He used to look lost on the court sometimes because he knew he wasn't getting the ball on certain possessions. He wasn't an option. And so, it was best to let him ride, but I just hate the return. I think that's a lot of people that leaves a sour taste in people's mouth was the return for John Collins,
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Even Nate McMillan said we don't draw plays up for John. He just kind of has to freelance out there. And also the reason why John was floated in so many rumors is because he was like the most expendable and his contract. And this is for a front office that's doing everything it can to stay under the luxury tax. So that means, hey, we've got this contract right here, this very serviceable player. That means he's going to, be constantly drug through trade talks. So yeah.
Circling back on that and that 25 million trade exception, what free agents or trades can we make in the offseason? There's some guys out there, but from when I looked at it before I came on with you, I was like, man, most of these guys are going to either re-sign with the same team, or it's just guys who you just don't feel like move the needle for the Atlanta Hawks.
I haven't even looked ahead at the free agents who we have coming up. But like you said, I don't know how many of them would move the needle. I'm not even sure the clear direction the organization's going. Are we doing like a soft reset? Are we doing, is Trey all the way in? Because I take it with a grain of salt, but there are those rumors and whispers that the organization might be willing to move on from Trey. So I don't even know what direction the organization wants to go in. I don't know what's happening with AJ Griffin. I have no idea.
Oh, gosh, I was going to ask you about that because that's just a weird scenario. How he just completely disappeared. I know he had some things going on. At least that's what was reported. We'll never really know. But, it was just weird how just AJ just fell off a cliff when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks. And you got other guys who's taking the spots that he possibly could play in. I can see him taking Patty Mills minutes or Garrison Matthews minutes, or at least getting some of those. But for him to just fall off a cliff like that, it's just crazy to me. And I want to know how concerned you are about 0017 and his chances of returning soon, as he's had 3 previous foot injuries and now his left toe. And we've seen him in that walking boot, and he's got to be reevaluated yet again in another 2 weeks. That's a big blow and big piece that we're missing as well.
For sure. Well, personally, I stay in a state of heightened anxiety. So if you're asking me how I'm feeling, it's nervous 24/7. I can tell you that. But especially when we're talking about big men and foot injuries, obviously everybody's going to go back to Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Bill Walton, like all these big men, Shaq, all these big men we've seen plagued by lower body, specifically foot and toe injuries. Yeah, it's a big deal and should be taken seriously. And it's going to be the most time 0017 has missed since his shoulder surgery a few years ago. So, yeah, it's a big deal. I wouldn't be in a rush to rush him back either, or especially with Trey out.
All right, man. It's just some times that we're going through right now. That is not yeah, man. It has to. It has no choice in the matter. And actually, next I wanted to touch on a few things in a second, but if you had to guess when the last remaining games. Oh man, I think I just
last remaining games.
Am I frozen? Did I freeze?
Oh, you've been frozen for a few minutes, but I can still hear you.
Oh man, okay.
Last remaining games, I'm looking at the Hawks schedule. I think we'd be lucky to win half of them, and that would really be saying something. If they could just tread water through this next month without Trey, I think would be really impressive. But honestly, I think it's more realistic that they dip and they fall out of the play-in tournament and the Brooklyn Nets jump over them. But we'll see. Maybe DeJounte could really thrive in this role as the number one option.
I will say this: if these Hawks some kind of way turn it around, and let's just say they do tread the water, or let's say they even exceed expectations, and DeJounte, like you just said, has this role, and he just becomes this superstar out of nowhere because there is no Trae Young. Mm-hmm. Would that make those trade talks about Trey a little louder?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're hit the nail on the head. And it would reopen the argument like, hey, who do we build around, Trey or DeJounte? Because that argument's basically been closed. Trey was having a monster year, and obviously the team made it pretty clear that they were open to shopping DeJounte. So, yeah, it would reopen that conversation, and, we'll see what happens. That's a big if. That's a big if DeJounte can rise to that level of productivity, because right now not many point guards in the NBA can do it like Trey Young.
Right, right. Fan Nation's Pat Benson Jr. here with me today. Glad to have you back on again as always. Wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about Angel Reese. And she has some big moves coming on. She's making waves out there. I mean, of course, we already know she's Miss Unapologetic, but she has a new collection that she's coming out about not made to be subtle. And I want to know, you touched on that as well. And I want to know your thoughts more about this, is how this brand will empower women.
Yeah, so Reebok's coming back. Shaquille O'Neal was recently named the president of their basketball operations. And one of the first signings he made, if not the first actually, was the Bayou Barbie herself, Angel Reese. And we have that LSU connection between Shaq and Angel. And I'm a huge Angel fan. She's so outspoken, such a great personality, and obviously extremely talented on the court. So yeah, she's going to be heavily featured in these new apparel lines, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in a perhaps signature sneaker with Reebok in the next couple of years whenever she gets to WNBA. I know Reebok is very ambitious, very hungry, and Shaq has made it known that he wants to re-enter the performance footwear market. I would love to see Angel be the first person Reebok goes back in with a signature sneaker. I think she, you put her up there with like the Sabrinas, the Briannas, and some of the other ladies who have signature sneakers. I think she's right up there with them.
Oh, yeah. I definitely agree with you. She's definitely going to have a signature shoe as long as negotiations and everything goes well. I can definitely see her being a first-round draft pick, of course, and signature shoe right before the season.
That'd be tight.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I mean, you got to be pre-planned for things. And this right here, I look at it as Reebok making a statement by empowering Angel to be able to do this. And it will also, influence other girls around her age group and everything to, follow this movement. And then next, you come out with the signature shoe, and boom, 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 man. You got it. They got the plan, man. They got the plan, man. Maybe I just gave them a little sauce too, man. Maybe they should, bring me in too, maybe to talk about some negotiations, man. Who knows?
I definitely think you should get a cut of sales now after that.
Yeah, man. It's just, it'd be perfect. First game of her of the year, her signature shoe, having the sales go out. Yeah, man. Go ahead and get that in the works for her, because she has been making moves. She has been making waves, should I say, for a name for herself. And just being the apologetic person that she is on the court. And I love that. But she's also a humble person as well. And so I just love like her whole makeup as a player and a competitor. And this is great for her, and also women who follow her and want to be in that particular spotlight as well. And I got another one for you, though. I wanted to get your thoughts about a new shoe that you just talked about. And that is the Kyrie Kai ones. Those shoes, man, I can't even lie. They got some flavor. These things got some flavor to them, man. And as we're looking at them, of course, they look Kyrie-ish, with the crazy designs and everything. And they also look futuristic, as that's where everyone's going with their shoe design now. Can you tell us more about the Kyrie Kai one?
So, like you right now, I'm just going off the pictures. I haven't had them in hand yet, but it's Kyrie. So it's going to be it's going to be a good performance model, and it's going to be a hit with the younger generation because they all love him. And I think it's just a major signing by Anta. They signed him to a 5-year deal this past summer, made him they gave him a role within the company as well. And those come out in the next couple weeks, and I think they're going to be a hit. That's just the first of many colorways. I know Anta is setting up an American headquarters in Los Angeles. So I think watch for Anta to make major moves in the next couple of years, and Kyrie's going to be a major part of that. And I'm sure his shoe is going to be a performance beast on the court and open up a whole new market of North American sneakerheads to Chinese sneaker brands that, they may not have heard of because you don't see them on the shelf at Foot Locker. But, thanks to StockX and different sneaker websites, you can get them now. And I bet if anybody's capable of making a Chinese sneaker brand popular in America, it's Kyrie.
It's definitely Kyrie Irving. Hey, man, I agree. Definitely. I mean, he was already making waves for Nike with all the different designs. He's very creative, I believe, with his designs. And if nothing else, they look good, but most of the time they feel good as well. Give or take, depending on the baller, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I want to see them when they come out. I actually want to see how they feel. I may have to take a look at them myself. I like the little funky design and the colorway and everything, just different. So yeah, it's something to definitely look into. So shout out to Mr. Kyrie Irving for this new design coming out. And again, not to be overshadowed, I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Miss Angel Reese, as I believe this is the design of pretty much of her new line as well, with the pink and pinky nuts at the top and the bottom. So that's going to be nice for the ladies to check out as well. Pat Benson Jr., really a great, always wonderful time having you on here, man. I know we had some technical difficulties, but hey, we know nothing is perfect, but we're going to try to make the best of it. That's the best way we can. And I thank you for coming on. I will say this to you, though, Pat. I never expected for us to be talking about the Hawks in the situation that they're in when we had our last conversation at the beginning of the season. I didn't see us kind of having that seesaw effect. I was afraid of that. But I know the stats don't tell the whole story, but if you're just looking at the numbers, man, we're right back into that seesaw again as far as being great in this category, but defensively, we're not so great in that category. Didn't think we were going to be here, but hopefully we can turn it around to end the season, at least head in the right direction toward the off season.
Well, the life is full of surprises and unplanned challenges, so we're going to continue to roll with the punches.
Indeed. Yes, you can catch Pat Benson Jr. on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pat_Benson_Jr. and catch his articles also on SI.com, Fan Nation. Pat Benson, man. You can definitely catch him on there. Thank you as always, my brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, now you take it easy until next time. Yes, sir. Yes, guys, that was Pat Benson Jr., my guy, man. I really appreciate him always taking the time out of his busy schedule to come on and grace us with some knowledge and his perspective about the Atlanta Hawks and also other topics like Angel Reese and like Kyrie Irving's new anti-Kai 1. So until next time, y'all, peace and blessings to you. Be generational because it's always time to be. Don't you settle for less because you can always have more with the vision. And come on back to the show that is cool and fly too, A1 Forever Sports with Chris Tip Moore. Until next time, you guys, peace and blessings, and I will holler.
A1. Yeah, truly. Cooler and I'm flyer too. Giant.